I'd like to call the joint meeting of the Internal Services and Records and Public Safety Committees to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Thank you. Romano makes a motion. Farrington supported to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Approval of minutes. The minutes are different in two ways this month. The Internal Services minutes and the minutes for the Records and Public Safety Committees were combined and previously approved, but we have an amended Internal Services Committee minutes from August of 2020, August 25th. I'd like a motion to approve the amended minutes.
Point of clarification, Chair, how were they amended?
Support Romano.
Was that a motion?
No, it was point of clarification, how were they amended?
Sorry, I thought it was a motion.
The amended minutes were put in today, and I have not seen them.
Anyone else know what they are? I mean, it's probably meaningless, but
There is a red line version in your packets, and it was, there were 2 bypass approvals at that meeting, and the action said receive and file, but they were actually approved as bypass approvals at that meeting, so that was corrected.
thank you very much. I'll make the motion.
And
I'll support it.
thank you, Commissioner Farrington. Made a motion supported by Romano to approve the adopted, or the amended minutes. Any discussion? Please
Well,
vote.
I did request to speak, but I don't need to. Thank you.
We'll move on to the vote then.
Yeah.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Next is public participation. It's the first opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any item that's on today's agenda. Later in the meeting, there'll be a second opportunity for public participation for any topic that the person wishes to speak on. Is there any public that wishes to participate? Again, any public participation? Any public participation? Public participation is closed. Hearing none. We'll move on to Internal Services Department recommendations. The first is agreements for information technology, maintenance agreements for second quarter 2022 for $228,894. Jaco? Excuse me, I'd like a motion to
Moved by Kleinfeld.
send to full board. Do I hear a second?
Support.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Romano, to send this to full board. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. This first item that I have on here is for 2 maintenance items that I bring to you regularly. The first one is for flex licensing. About 2 years ago, we were able to sign a new agreement with Cisco regarding some of our licensing, and it also included additional licensing up to that point that actually cost money. So we made some changes, and it's for $153,996, and then our WebEx licensing, which is the system that we use for remote meetings and things like that. So that's what the 2 payments are for, totaling $228,000 $894.
Thank you. I see no speakers. Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. The next item, 6B, is a contract for Dell PowerScale expansion for 2023 through 25, budgeted at $155,912.90. Motion to move to full board. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Wallace, supported by Commissioner Zinner, to move to full board. Jacob?
In 2021, I think, early 21, we signed a contract with this company to purchase and expand our PowerScale environment. What PowerScale does for us, it provides our file storage for the county. And that is all our camera footage, files, everything you can think of. That's not part of a database. That's where it's stored. So at that point in time, we put a new system in place with about 600 terabytes to our disposal, of which we can use roughly about 500. And this past year, an upgrade was done to the camera system that's used for the sheriff's office, which is WatchGuard, and that is for the body cameras as well as the in-car cameras. The company that did this, WatchGuard themselves, they changed the architecture of the video as well as make it a higher resolution, which wasn't revealed to us prior to the upgrade being done, but either way, we had to upgrade the cameras. What happened there is we had about 40 terabytes dedicated to that environment at that point in time. That has grew since then to 175 terabytes. So a huge part of our storage is taken up by that, to the point where we started, we're going to start facing performance issues, because we can only consume about 75% of the 626 terabytes that we have. Beyond that, you start getting issues. So this purchase is to purchase 200 additional terabytes. What we did is, because it wasn't included in this year's budget, we negotiated with the company that provided us the original contract. What we did then is we paying for that PowerScale equipment over a period of 5 years. And it is equal payments over a period of 5 years at 0% interest. What we negotiated with them is to make the first payment in 2023, in January of 2023. So it's not part of this year's capital budget. And then paid for 3 years as part of the other contract to complete the purchase. And that's what we pretty much did, also at 0% interest, so that it doesn't affect this year's budget. And that's what we're here for, is to increase that disk space with 200 terabytes.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrington.
Thank you. Welcome, Jacob. A couple questions. So it's 3 years retention on the video, correct?
Retention on
And the video
is
data?
90 days.
Okay. It seems like this is going to go up exponentially with the video.
Yeah.
Is this going to cover it, or the next budget go around, you guys are going to have to crank it up higher?
We pretty confident, barring nothing happens like what happened this year, because we do keep tabs on it. We know how it grows every year, and that's how we predict our need, 2, 3, 4 years from now. This time, it was just something we were not aware of and out of our control, and we, unfortunately are in this situation.
Okay, and I guess my other question is, normally we get the contract at the same time we get the budget amendment. Why are they separated this time?
The reason the budget amendment, I actually we did that, and then I contacted finance. They would prefer that I bring it for the amendment of the budget after the budget has been approved. In other words,
I mean, after
the end of the year.
Right, it says it's going to be, okay, let me get this straight. So they're going to bring the budget amendment at the end of the year? during
That's correct.
budget
We
time?
will bring the budget amendment.
Because you're not paying for it this year, so you're not
We're
worried.
not paying for it this year, so that's the reason.
Got it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Chair Brown?
Jacob, does any of our needs for storage fall off? Is any of this, and what schedule? Because, this stuff has to be held for a certain amount of time. Can you speak to that briefly?
Yeah, during the course of this year, because this problem started really in the beginning of the year, it's been with us for a while, actually, end of last year. Our team has been working on absolutely keeping what's needed on that system. In other words, cleaning up data, talking to departments, making sure that we don't conserve access data. We went through that exercise, but at this point in time, that's where we are. For things falling off, the only way that it can fall off is really if file sizes or things like that decrease. We have commitments. The sheriff's office, for example, we need to keep data for 90 days. So 90 days, obviously put a lot of strain, because once 90 days run out for this, there's others that, run up the chain, and this data is continuously recording. So I don't foresee that something will fall off easily. The other concern that I have when it comes to storage, as technology evolves, the file sizes increase. Over time, they claim to decrease file size, and that's correct. They make it more efficient. But because they can do that, then they cramp more stuff in a specific file, and it grows again. So it's a situation where you really, at the end of the day, I don't foresee data storage coming down. I would see increasing.
Thank you.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Matusik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jaco, you said we store most items 90 days. Clearly, if there's a trial involved, lawsuit involved,
That's
it's got to be saved for much longer than that. Is there a different cost to that?
No, we store it on the same systems, and it's just saved off to a different location. And most of it is managed when it gets to the legal level, is managed by our legal department, Corp Counsel, and keep the data. And then sometimes they instruct us to keep certain data, whether it's video or something like that. But it's in the same space, it's just separate folders.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I just have a quick question. Is the amount of data generated every day about the same as the data generated every other day?
Yeah, I think it's pretty consistent over time if you average it out. I don't have that number for you, but I can get that number pretty easily.
So more or less every 91st day, the amount that falls off is the amount you're recording?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it stays pretty consistent, throughout, until there's increases for
Yeah.
some.
With the exception of the items that Commissioner
correct.
Matusik mentioned where you have specific needs.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item 6C, a contract with AT&T for long-distance services for 4.4 cents per call, and this is a 2-year contract. A motion to move to full board.
Matusik moves.
Thank you. Commissioner Matusik made the motion, supported by Commissioner Farrington, to move this to full board. Jaco?
Commissioners, the AT&T contracts, some of them are 2 years, others are 3 years in length. So this particular contract is a 2-year contract. And cumulatively, our AT&T contracts are, pretty significant. This contract's very small, but it is the long distance that we pay for the county every year. And I'm bringing this to you just, to get this contract approved. The bigger contracts are due next year. So next year, we'll come back to the board with, I think there's 3 more contracts that we have to do. But this is just long distance calling.
Thank you, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
My question is not agenda related, but I just have one for Jaco. So we probably should let Commissioner Matuzak go first. And if you'll give me the leeway to ask that question, I'd appreciate it.
Without knowing what it is, I'll say yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Matuzak, you're on.
Didn't we just approve a contract for Verizon?
Yeah, that was a cellular contract that we've never had before.
Okay.
That is something brand new, and that was specifically for phones for the prosecutor's office.
And so this AT&T contract is for what we would refer to landlines?
Exactly. Yep, this is landlines, and then the other 2 or 3 that I'm talking about is also landline circuits, things like that. The cellular contracts is a different one, and this is the first year that we entered into that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Your write-up sort of implies a fixed cost for a long-distance call. Is that true?
Yeah, until or for the term of the contract.
Right, but I mean, 1 minute or 10 minutes, it's a fixed.
It's a fixed cost, yeah.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. Jaco, regarding the email on the survey, I can't remember, did that come to us through email or Facebook, the survey?
Through email. Oh, the survey, quite honestly, the way that happened was actually physical. It was a physical letter that went out to people's homes.
Oh, okay, because I
And-
was going to ask if it came from an email inside our county, and who was doing that survey?
So we haven't been able to determine exactly which survey it was that was copied, or maybe it was a combination of surveys. We don't know that, but what I envision what happens here is somebody wants to scam somebody, and they look at county websites and things like that. They get a form, and there's just every day there's something new. And this is the first time that I've seen where they take electronic, what we perceive every time somebody scams us, it's usually electronically, right? Through email or this or that. This time they took an electronic document, they put the information in a paper copy, and they mail the paper copy to your house. And, that obviously, some people will think, well, this is, this must be, a good survey, so let's put it in because you can get $2
Well, yeah, I was wondering what are we paying for this survey? Because I don't remember it coming in front of us, and I did get it. I just didn't remember what form I got it in. I don't know if other commissioners got it, but the first thing I thought was, I don't remember approving this. Does it, how much does it cost?
They actually also called people. From what I understand, there were certain people that said that they were called with the same information.
Okay.
So it's just a scam.
So
it's
we
just
don't really-
somebody trying to
okay.
use county information to get information from you.
Okay. Thank you for the latitude, Chair.
You're welcome. Seeing no other speakers, please vote on this 6C.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. That concludes the internal services section of the meeting. We'll now turn it over to Chair Romano for the Records and Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have presentations, and the first one is the Civil Service Commission 2021 Annual Report. Dave Daniels, Civil Service Commissioner. This is a motion to receive and file. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Board. I'm Dave Daniels. I am representative of the Macomb County Sheriff's Office Civil Service Commission. In accordance with Public Act 298, which was adopted in 1966, the Sheriff's Office established a Board of Civil Service Commissioners to provide a civil service system based on an examination and investigation as to merit, efficiency, and fitness for employment, application and promotion of all offices of men and women appointed to the department, and regulate the transfer, reinstatement, suspension, and discharge of said officers, and provide for referendums that could be adopted. Our primary function is to make sure the Sheriff's Office has enough employees to be hired on their budgeted positions. The Civil Service Commission is represented by Corporation Counsel, a representative from our Macomb County Human Resources, the Sheriff's Office, and the Clerk's Office, as well as the Commissioner, which is Bob Stanley, myself, and Diane McGee. With that, I'll take any questions the board would have.
Mr. Chairman, actually, I don't think there was a motion.
Be on the board. Can't talk if you're not on.
I was going to
Commissioner
make,
Kleinfeld?
yeah, I was going to make a motion. That's why I didn't request to speak. Motion to receive and file.
Support.
There's a motion made by Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Commissioner Farrington, for receive and file. And I don't see any speakers. Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you.
That was painless. Thanks, guys.
Okay, item B is the Prosecutor's Office. This is a motion to receive and file, update, and request for support. We have Don Fazard, Chief Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. I need a motion for receive and file.
So moved.
Mr. Kraft,
Support.
support Commissioner Van Sickle. Oh, I see three gentlemen up there. Our prosecutor's up there. Mr. Lucido, would you like to speak first?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. By my chief assistant and also chief of operations. So let's get down to business, if I may, Mr. Chairman. First of all, there's a successful partnership I've had with the board over the last year, and I want to thank you all. And I mean that sincerely. Without your help and assistance, we would have never been able to make these accomplishments. But I'm going to also ask for your assistance in the future, which I'm doing now. And I'm concerned about certain retaliations that are going on. But the achievements for 2022, let's talk about them. That'll give you up to date. First of all, the prosecutor's office in 2022 set an all-time record in this county for awards that were given by the NACO, and achievement awards of 13 was the county overall. The prosecutor's office had 7 of those awards. I believe the chairman of the board indicated this national recognition shows great things are happening in the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office. That's thanks to all of you. Without your assistance and your partnership, probably we would have a lot of problems, even more than we already are having. So we're going to try to take this out of what the past was and where we're going for the future. The more assistance of prosecutors means that we're really giving more justice to the taxpayers. Thanks for your cooperation and your support. School threats, we've had a slew of them, probably the most within the Tri-County, more than Wayne County, as well as Oakland. And we promise to prosecute every one of these threats because it's our children and the safety of our children that are at stake. I want to let you know that the JJC currently is housing them and getting an evaluation before they're released. And I think that that's important because who knows what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. I want to talk about the major crime units. Without your help, all of you, we would have never had the major crime unit. It's top-rank assistant prosecutors that have been there for a long time trying the major crimes. And based on the amount of homicides, physical and civil, the physical assaults, as well as the carjackings that have gone on in this county, it's important that we put our top-rank officials of the prosecutor's office in there to look over those cases and make sure that justice is served both ways, fundamentally fair and swift. The Conviction Integrity Unit was launched with your assistance. We're investigating claims of the innocents to determine whether or not there's clear and convincing new evidence that would convince of the convicted defendants that were imprisoned wrongly. Nobody should be going to jail that didn't do a crime. And the Warrant Appeals Division that was launched, it's the first ever of its kind in the state of Michigan. It's fundamental fairness again. If a warrant doesn't issue because our warrant division says no, the elements of the crime can't be made, what do? The officer has a right to go ahead, as well as the victim or the one that was aggrieved, to ask for a review by the appeals division. No different than anyone else has that are convicted of a crime. They have a right to an appeal. Digital evidence management platform. I wish Jaco was still here. He would have been able to give you we just launched this, and we're very proud, and I know that you've already committed because digital evidence and the amount of storage and data that's coming into the office is overwhelming. I never saw a hard drive disk until I got to the prosecutor's office over the last 10 years. None of you have either, but it's happening. And we're compressing that data onto these disks and giving them to defense lawyers, soon to be digital, which means everything we can get in from the body cams, the in-car videos, have that brought, uploaded, and downloaded and given to the defense counsel, which we ultimately have that duty under the law. Police agencies currently are uploading that digital evidence to us. The prosecutor's office reviews it, redacts what we need to do, and then we ship it on out. It's a slow process, but it's working and it's going in the right direction. And soon, with Jaco's assistance and the entire IT community here in Macomb County, we're going to be able to keep going and do it the right way, and we're going to save money. Defense lawyers can directly download this evidence and start their files. There will not be delays in courthouses anymore, because I saw that that's all they ever did was, Your Honor, I didn't get all the technology, I didn't get all the evidence, therefore I have to adjourn. That cost the victim time and money, cost the witnesses time and money, and most importantly, that's not swift justice. Let's talk about the employee. We lost our specialist in March. I don't know if you were aware of it, and I don't know if you know how this whole process of employing people here in the county works, but I think for those that don't know, when we lost our specialist, we had to take the road commission specialists, those are the ones that sit through the interviews and go through the processing of onboarding and bringing people that have made application in the county to go ahead and allow them the interviews. So I've got it in the summary here, the post vacancies on lines. It took us 2.5 to 3 months to try to hire somebody. That's ridiculous. And I won't stand for it, and I don't have to. The reality is, if we already know somebody's leaving, and they've already signed their letter of intent that they're leaving, and they gave a date certain, we should be able to post, we should be able to get the resumes, we should be able to interview, and seamlessly put them to work as soon as that one leaves. Which brings us to the scheduling of interviews, the hiring. Without somebody from HR in the office of the prosecutor, one of the third largest divisions of this county, how in the heck are we going to seek justice and get the job done? So we had a problem, and I'm hoping that it's resolved. Just as of June 1st or 2nd, we just received a specialist that's been now referred to the prosecutor's office. And between getting ID badges and business cards, assigned phone numbers, this isn't labor. This is highly skilled professionals that are coming to the office. Those individuals you can't train overnight. They need to get in the courtroom, and they need to get in the district court, and they need to see how the process works in this county, even though we have very skilled individuals that we have gained as a result of Wayne County as well as some of the other counties. They decided Macomb should be their home, and they came. So there's also the network access, the adult case tracker, evidence.com, and more. We have to go through this process once they are hired. So the process is long. I want to tell you, because of the delays, there's a surplus as of May 31st of $471,000, which also includes those 4 jobs, 2 full-time and 2 part-time that are still sitting at the Supreme Court level. I want to let you know that that money has been sitting there, and we asked, and I have it in your packets, that eight temporary part-time clerical staff be brought in. Why part-time? Two reasons. One is there's no legacy costs, there's no benefits, and it'll give me a chance, as well as the ones that are working in the community of the clerical, to go ahead and see if they can do the job, find out whether they're a good fit for the operations, and we can then move those individuals that are already in those jobs, once they pick up that skill, into other jobs to cross-train. I talked about that when I came before the board. Cross-training is vital in this county. Otherwise, when somebody leaves and they're the only one that has that job, it's impossible for me to operate the office when the person that knows the job is the only one that knows it and leaves, such as in 4 of our divisions right now. Because of the fact that we didn't have those attorneys, we didn't have those clericals, we didn't have the people that needed to be hired, we had this surplus because it took long. Are we done? No. There's still more to come. But I'm asking, was the $163,840 be taken out of there? And for some reason, I was shot down. And I want a resolution, if the board can consider that today. I know the resolution, and the resolution was in the packet, just to put it on for full board so that I have that opportunity to speak to the board and bring them up to date on how this happens. And also there was this. I had a chance to sit down with Kim Worthy, one of my colleagues and partners in the law enforcement, as well as Karen McDonald. I broached the meeting. I went to their sides, and I sat with them, and I said, we're all experiencing difficulty in law enforcement. We're all experiencing problems with all the classes of crimes, but it's heightened to a higher level. And I asked Prosecutor Worthy, I see that you get $7.3 million a year in grants. That's approximately a quarter of their budget. And you have one individual, Emily Corwin is her name. She goes to Lansing and she goes here and there. I don't looking for that. But in the last year and 3 months, I had a friend of mine that actually has this ability to go in and got grants of $450,000 for this county, as well as Judge Davis and him at $1.3 million. Imagine what I could do if I had somebody working on this, and imagine how much money it would bring in and how many jobs can be given as a result. I know Wayne County does a great job with this because they have the time and they have the talent to overlook everything and see what's available. So I asked for less than, because the one that did it said he's not going to do it again with me. He spent his time, but he would contract with me and get just those hours needed to get the grant through and process the grant and make sure it's up to date. He has that ability and has shown it already in the grants that we got. We got the CFIS grant. That was $450,000 for 2 years. And the 1.3. This is real money, folks. This is saving taxpayers' money. Comes out of our pocket one way or the other, but ultimately, unless you ask for it, you don't get it. More can be done. And I'm asking for the assistance of the board to assist me that I can have at least under $35,000. When he works on it, he works on it. There's no benefits, no legacy cost, and he's already proven that he can get that kind. Emily's been there for, Don, how long? In Wayne County? 9 or 10 years, and she's pulling in $7.3 million. This is not, I mean, I know Oakland has the same thing. We don't here in Macomb, but we should. At any rate, I'm asking for a resolution on that too. I mean, I'm not asking to spend a lot. I'm asking to seek back the benefit that the prosecutor's office needs. At the end, I want to thank you, but there's 2 resolutions in there. I'm asking for support, and hopefully we can at least get it before the board to have that dialogue. Unfortunately, that money surplus, I don't understand why the jobs can't get posted.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. I see no speakers. I think you've made an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And this is a receive and file, but I think this board should take under consideration a resolution supporting the prosecutor's office request. So we will do that, and let's see what happens from there on in. Thank you again for your presentation.
Could we get, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Does that mean we'll have a chance to get on the board for the 16th, which is the full board, for consideration of those resolutions?
I believe the 16th is the full board. As I said, there's a few people missing here, but this board will take under consideration your request to see if we can move it to the full board.
Thank you. That's
You're
all I
welcome.
ask. Appreciate
Thank you,
your
Mr.
time,
Prosecutor.
and thanks for your consideration.
Do we need to vote on the receive and file?
I think we have item 9, but we're going to move this to a motion to receive and file. I think we have to vote on that.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair. We had a motion to receive and file. Is that what we're voting on?
Yeah, that's motion. I think there was a motion and support for it.
Okay.
And just real quick, point of order on the other, if they're not on our agenda and they're not in here, so we haven't seen them, I think whether or not they go on full board then becomes Chair Brown's decision.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item A is intergovernmental agreement that the Sheriff's Office Emergency Dispatch Services, Township of Armada. Angela Elsey is the dispatch director. I need a motion to recommend this to full board.
Support, Van Sickle.
Supported by Commissioner Kraft, motion made by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. And we have Ms. Elsey on board.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I'm Angela Elsey, Dispatch Director for the Sheriff's Office. As part of our continuing expansion of services at Comtech, we were approached by Armada Township Fire Department to provide full-time dispatch services. This is the same type of agreement that we have in place with Washington Township, Harrison Township, Sterling Heights, Clinton Township, City of Mount Clemens, and Macomb Township Fire Departments. So this does cover dispatch services as well as necessary equipment. And this agreement would take effect July 1st of this year, so 2022. I do want to point out that there was an oversight initially that the preferred method was for both the agenda items, for both the budget amendment and the contract to go in front of the board at the same time. However, we were still working out how we were going to handle the budget with either a new fund or adjusting the existing 911 fund to display the revenue. I've already communicated with Steve Smeagol from Finance, and the budget amendment will be on the July agenda.
So I want to make sure we're correct. So all we're voting now for is this the Township of Armada Emergency Dispatch Service, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
And so the funds that we just voted on the 5 cents, I think it's 5 cents a month, right?
42 cents?
42 cents.
Yeah.
I'm going cheap. You guys are going $5 a month. I'm going 5 cents a month.
You got a lot of phones.
I'm sorry. Okay, so that money follows, correct? That money comes over to Comtech.
To all 9 PSAPs, yeah. So all 9 dispatch centers in the county will receive that.
No, but I mean, if we're contracting with them, then the money from there comes over here.
Yep, so we already will receive the money, both at the local surcharge and the state surcharge, which we do for the Township of Armada because we already answer the 911 calls for the township. So.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so this is just providing full-time dispatch services for the fire department. So we have the interconnectivity, we'll be able to alert their stations, communicate better, manage their resources, have direct connectivity to their fire department rather than just voice communication, which is only what we have existing today.
Okay, so that didn't change that formula at all,
No.
which is what I was wondering if it affected the contract in any way, shape, or form. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair Brown, I believe this is in your district. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to see that the community has come on board and
Yes.
want to why 3 small communities have decided to make the jump and save their taxpayers some money and get insured, guaranteed good service by our high-quality equipment that we're going to always provide them. And Commissioner Kleinfeld raised a question I was going to ask, making sure that the money that we've just allocated to them gets fed back into our PSAP, into our unit, Comtech. And that's true of Sterling Heights and all the other communities in which we are part of our family now of growing numbers of communities, correct?
Correct, yes. So Comtech will receive all of the money from the from the local surcharge as well as the state surcharge for the communities that we are the primary dispatch center for.
Good.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I see no other speakers, so please vote. Thank you, Ms. Elsey.
Thank you.
Motion passes 9-0.
Next item on our agenda is public participation. This is the opportunity for public participation. It's for those who wish to speak for a minute, maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. If anybody in the audience would like to speak on public participation, how about you, young man? You got nothing to say?
Not yet.
Okay. Anybody else for public participation? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that. We'll go into commissioners' comments. Anybody? Let me see. Veronica?
You're always looking at me.
Because you always have a comment. Anybody else wish to speak?
Sir, thank you.
Commissioner Zinder.
I was able to attend the Blessing of the Fleet in St. Clair Shores. Veronica, Commissioner Kleinfeld was there too. That was very nice. It was a very nice ceremony. It was a beautiful day, sunny and warm, and it was lovely people, of course. It was in the shores. Very nice. Thank you.
Well, okay, then I'm going to
No,
talk.
if you got nothing to
looked
say,
at me.
I'll let it go.
You
Anybody else
looked at
want
me,
to,
I'm
any other
going to talk.
commissioners?
So then the next day, at opening day at Kite Monroe, I threw out the first pitch. I would have.
Was it a strike?
I would have hit the batter.
Okay.
He
Any other
actually threw
commissioners?
one right across the plate. It was painful because they made fun of me. I don't have anything. Thank you, Chair.
No other comments. I'll move to item 12, which is adjournment. I need a motion. Motion by Zinder,
Support Van Sickle.
support Van Sickle. Please vote.
I actually thought it would be funny if nobody said anything since you're chairing. Nobody adjourned it.
That motion?
Motion passes 9-0.